Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met yet, my name is Mark and on this channel I share powerful ideas that can help make our lives better. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I want to talk to you about my personal content creation journey. Now, I have been interested in content creation in all of its forms for a very long time, years and years and years. But I only started taking it seriously about a month ago. Now, why is that the case? Why were there all of these years where I was interested and I was excited about the potential of content creation, and yet I took no action? Well, one of the things that led to that happening is the problem of niche selection. Now, this might sound like a small problem for those that are not familiar, but if you are in the midst of it, I know you know what I mean, and that it is a difficult challenge to overcome. So when you first start online, one of the biggest pieces of advice that people give you is that it is crucial to choose a niche, to define a small section of your audience that you are talking to. And the idea behind this is that when you choose a niche, it should be easier to monetize and to grow your audience. Now, this sounds great, and I think this is great advice, but I also think that this is one of those pieces of advice that can stop a lot of people, and I know for sure it stopped me, from ever creating content. It can paralyze you with fear. When you put so much pressure on choosing a niche before you've ever done anything online, you are forced to think about all of the consequences of your actions. What if I choose a niche and I'm no longer interested in it for the next couple of years? What if I choose a niche and there's not enough audience engagement in it? What if there's not enough money in it? What if not enough people are interested in this? What if I choose something and I just get bored of it? There are all of these questions around choosing a niche, and it's so difficult to decide. If you are currently going through the same thing, then this video is going to share some ideas that have been incredibly helpful to me to get over this problem that I had. I was interested in content creation for many years, but I only really started about a month ago. And ever since I started, I've been going at it hard. In fact, as you might know, I'm on a content creation challenge right now. For the next 12 weeks, I'm going to be creating roughly five pieces of content every day, 6 days per week. I'm going to be posting it here on YouTube as videos. I'm going to be posting it on Instagram and on Twitter. So if you don't follow me in any of those channels yet, I highly recommend you join the journey. I'd love to see you there. Now, in this video, I want to share with you the ideas that have helped me overcome my own stumbling block around choosing and deciding a niche. There were just so many issues around it that I faced, and I hope that some of these ideas are going to help you as well. You see, in addition to all of the questions that I've mentioned before about choosing a niche, it seemed to me like choosing a niche is such a defining decision. It's such a big commitment, because the idea is that you'll be choosing a niche, you'll be choosing a topic that you'll be talking about, and if it goes well, you'll be talking about this topic for 5 to 10 years, because this will be your job, this will be your livelihood. And I always felt so much pressure from having to make that decision. And of course, what happens when you feel pressure is you end up making no decision at all. Now, I think that one of the biggest issues is how much pressure we attach to this choosing of a niche in the beginning of the process, in the beginning of the content creation process, when we're not even sure what we're doing and what we're all about. And one of the things that I remember being very scary to me is I had so many wide interests and so many things that I was interested in and passionate about, and to choose only one of them would kind of take a sliver of my personality and be forced to only talk about that. And I felt that was very restrictive. I felt that was very limiting. And that was another huge stumbling block for me to get over. And another big reason why I think a lot of people never end up starting. They're just terrified that they'll make the wrong decision. So as I said, this has stopped me for years from creating content. But in the past few weeks, I have been on a mission to create as much content as possible. A big part of what has helped me is a couple of books that I'm going to be mentioning towards the end of the video, and all of the ideas I will be sharing with you today. These ideas have really changed how I approach the idea of niche selection, of content creation, of building a tribe. And I have to tell you that if you are interested in creating content online, then this video is probably the first step for that. This is probably the video you should be watching if you're interested in building a personal brand or building your tribe online. And so with that in mind, I invite you to join me as we dive deeper into these ideas. I hope they help you like they've helped me. Let's get into it. Now, just as a quick note, I want to clarify that I still believe that choosing a niche is a valid piece of advice. I think it's actually very important. It's just I believe that it's important later on in the process. You see, choosing a niche is the idea that you should be optimizing. You should be trying to make more money from your audience or from your following, and you should be doing things that will scale you to a higher level. But the key with optimization is that you need data to optimize against. But if we are just getting started in our process or in our journey of content creation, we don't have any data. We don't know what we like. We don't know what our audience likes. We don't know what is working and what is not working. And so when we don't have any data, we can get stuck in wanting to optimize it. And I certainly did for years. I wanted to make it perfect. I wanted to come out with a perfect plan and the perfect idea so that I would really prevent failure for myself. I wanted to make sure that I don't fail, but that really was a form of procrastination. That was a defense mechanism for myself. I did so much planning and I did so much reading and so much studying, but I ended up not creating anything with all that knowledge. And the reason why was honestly just because I was afraid on some level that it would fail, that this idea that I had, that this desire to create content would on some level not work out. And that is a scary, scary proposition. And so the first idea that really helped me was this idea of discovery versus decision. You see, when we are just starting out on our content creating journey, a lot of people will tell you that you should know exactly what you want to talk about. You should know your niche. You should know your target audience. But the reality is that unless you're one of the lucky few who do know what they want to talk about, and the people who have studied for their subject their whole lives or who are experts on it, most of us are just uncertain because we don't have enough experience with content creation. We don't know what we're interested in. We don't know what we want to talk about. We don't know what we want to commit to on camera and on paper. And so it becomes very difficult if we are forced to choose. That's where the pressure builds up. We feel like we're forced to make this decision, but we don't have enough data to operate on. And so the idea of discovery versus decision is this idea that your niche is not something that you decide on. Your niche is something that you uncover, that you discover through the process of creating content. And so for this discovery journey, you have to start putting out as much content out there. The idea is that you are going through a self-exploration stage. You are going through a discovery stage. Imagine like you are an archaeologist and you are trying to dig up a dinosaur. With every piece of content you publish, you dust a little bit more dust or a little bit more dirt off the bones, and you are slowly trying to dig up this discovery. You're slowly trying to find out what's inside of you, what are you interested in talking about, and what do you want to share with the world. Don't feel pressure to stick to one topic in the beginning. The whole idea of discovery stage is that this is free play. You should be doing things that excite you. You should be talking about topics that interest you. The idea is that for you to explore as much of the range of what you're interested in as possible. And then slowly, through time and through creating more and more content, you will become more and more understanding of what exactly you like, what exactly your audience likes, and what seems to be working and gaining traction. Now, by taking the discovery approach to finding your niche and finding your interests, it removes a lot of the pressure that we were talking about before. For example, my self-inflicted pressure of trying to decide what single topic to commit to would not have even been there. In fact, I was going about it completely backwards. Think of content creation, the beginning of the journey, like dating. You want to make sure that you are dating and exploring and seeing what's out there and sort of gaining an understanding of what fits well with you. What topics are you interested in? Which ones are you getting bored of? Which ones are you finding yourself more and more curious about? And the more you discover this, the more you understand, okay, maybe this can be something that I can talk about for the long run, or maybe this can be something that I could be interested in for the next little while. You have to go through the process of exploring all of these different topics, and the best way to do it is to create as much content as possible in the beginning. And that's the beauty. You don't need to commit to anything in the beginning. You don't need to say that this is the only thing that I will be creating content about. Instead, you can have the freedom to explore, to play, to see what you like, to see what clicks, to see what fits. And then once you start to really get into it, then you'll start to get a feeling for what you really enjoy, for what really clicks with you. At that point, you will know what you should be committing to. You will know what you should be doing with your content and with your audience. When we are just starting out on our content creation journey, it's very important we make the process frictionless as possible. Content creation is incredibly difficult as it is, and we want to make sure we don't make it harder on ourselves by imposing all of these pressures and obstacles in our way. And so when we do this, it's actually very useful for me to think about content creation in the beginning like I'm journaling in public. And this idea, I believe, comes from Austin Kleon's book, Show Your Work. In the book, Austin talks about the idea that we don't need to be an expert to create content online, to create and publish content. Instead, focus on the idea that you are just showing your work as you're learning, as you are doing something, as you're becoming an expert, on your road of becoming an expert. You are just sharing your process. You're, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, document, don't create. You don't need to be at the top of the mountain. All you need to do is you need to share your progress of how you're getting there. And I believe that this idea, this journaling in public, where you just get to talk about the things that you're interested in, the books that you're reading, the articles you're reading, the interviews you're listening to, all of these things are excellent starting points for creating great content that is both valuable to others and removes a lot of friction and a lot of pressure from you. And so in the beginning, I think it's crucial that we do our best to remove as much friction and remove as much pressure as possible and just get to creating. Create as much as possible, as frequently as possible. Another idea I found very helpful comes from Seth Godin in his book, Tribes. And the idea is that we don't need to try and control and manipulate our content so that it fits into a particular niche. No. All you need to do is you be as much you as possible. You want to be as authentically and as genuinely you as possible. Create content around topics you enjoy, around topics that you like, and you will slowly begin to attract a tribe. A tribe is a group of people who are interested in the same interests that you are. They share the same passions. They share the same worldview. And the whole idea behind publishing content online is you want to be publishing content so that you slowly attract a tribe and build a tribe of the people who you share a worldview with, the people who are your people, my people, the people who like and enjoy what you have to say. Not everyone will like what you have to say. That is just the reality, but that's okay. We don't need everyone to like what we have to say. All we need is to put out as much content out there into the world so that it slowly attracts the right people to us. And that is way better than focusing just on a niche in the beginning or anything like that. All you're doing is you're speaking your truth as much as possible, as loud as possible, as frequently as possible. And slowly over time, you will notice that you're attracting more and more of the right people into your tribe and into your audience. I hope everything so far has helped remove a little bit of pressure and a little bit of stress from finding your niche for you. I hope you feel a little bit more comfortable about the idea of sharing your process, about the idea of journaling in public, about the idea that in the beginning, it's all a discovery process. Now comes the hard part, because now we have to decide, so after all of that, what should you actually talk about? But if we've talked about all the other ideas and if you've listened to everything else, then this is actually the easy part. Unlike finding a niche, which requires you to commit and to eliminate everything else from around your topic, looking for things to talk about, especially in the beginning, is this joyous exercise in discovery and play. So what should you be talking about? Well, we start with the idea of passions and interests. And I actually prefer the idea of interest to passions, because it's hard to say that you're passionate about something sometimes, but it's much easier to say that you are interested in something or are curious about something. And so when we think about what we should talk about, the main question, the only question you should be asking yourself is, what am I interested in? What am I so curious about? What do I love reading about? What do I love talking about? What do I love researching about? What do you read in your spare time? If you had a friend over, what would you talk about with them for the next 3-4 hours? You want to find and uncover your own curiosities, your own interests, your own passions, the things that fire you up and the things that make you excited to speak about them. And once you find them, then your job of creating content really becomes play. It becomes fun. It becomes enjoyable. It becomes something that you look forward to because you get to talk about the things that you would be talking about anyway. But now you're slowly attracting an audience, and eventually you're going to be making a living from it. If you like this video, if you found it valuable and beneficial, I think that you would really enjoy 3 books in particular about this topic as well. The first book, I have 2 of them here. The first book is by Seth Godin, and I mentioned this before, and it's called Tribes. This is an excellent book, highly recommended, very short read, but very powerful and impactful. The next book that I have with me in physical copy is an older one, about 10 years old, but still relevant today, by Gary Vaynerchuk, called Crush It. Now, Gary has a new book called, I believe, Crushing It, which is the updated version to this one. I think I listened to the audio version of that one. I believe that maybe read both. Some of the tactics in this one are outdated, but the ideas and concepts are still just as valid today as they were before. And then the final book I would highly recommend you get. This book really changed my mindset and really helped me become more comfortable with sharing my process and sharing, not having to be an expert and being able just to talk about the things that are interesting to me, that are exciting to me, and that I'm curious about. And this book is by Austin Kleon. I have it on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy, but this book is called Show Your Work. And Austin is fantastic. It's again a short book, very, very, very straight to the point, but Austin has a great way of putting things where he really makes you understand that sharing your process and sharing your journey through the world is one of the best things that you can do for creating content and attracting a tribe and an audience. So those are 3 books I highly recommend. Once again, Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk, as well as the sequel Crushing It, Tribes by Seth Godin, and Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. And that is it for the video. I hope that this was helpful. I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you made it this far. I know that in the past few videos that I've made, I've noticed that I speak a little bit too slow, and half of it is because I am thinking half the time, and the other half is because I'm trying to find the right words. I'm sure that with time, this will be much better and my speaking will be much smoother, but in the beginning, if you are making it this far in the video, I salute you. Congratulations. I don't know if even I could make it this far. If you have any feedback for me, I would love to hear from you. You can leave me something in the comments below, or you're welcome to follow me on Instagram or Twitter and DM me there. I very, very much want to thank you for watching this video and supporting me on this journey. As I told you before, I'm on a 12-week content creation journey. I'm trying to create 5 pieces of content per day, roughly 6 days per week. That means that I'll be uploading 6 videos on this YouTube channel per week, as well as content on Instagram and on Twitter. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. If you have any feedback, let me know in the comments below. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend that you do so right now by clicking that red subscribe button below and dinging that notification bell. That notification bell is there so that whenever I upload a new video, you don't miss out. So other than that, I want to thank you all so much. I want to wish you the best of luck on your content creation journey. And again, I would love to hear from you. So reach out to me if you have any other questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.